Hello. Yes. All right. Welcome to the day. This is Ignite. I built this nice little poster for you to write your name and check every class that you go to. Main room, and there's someone else in there. So I'm going to start fighting them so we can maybe take over. Okay. Every work at 9:30, we will start like basically on time, hopefully. And from this wall, who is one of the top agents, maybe. So yeah. So she's like, if I test negative, it was. So we're looking at switching hers around. She does, but I don't know how long she's had COVID. If she is better by then she'll come teach. Otherwise, we're going to swap it with someone else and she'll teach later. What? Yeah. So their stories, share their successes, share everything so that you guys can be the best agent. So you can't, oh, so it's Ignite's broken down into 4 kind of sessions and it's 20, about 2 months to get through. And so all of August, most of September, kind of an idea. First is making you a real estate expert. Next, we're going to move on to lead generation, then lead follow-up, and then the actual sellers and getting all the way down to close. It is important that you learn all of them. Only go to 3-ish classes. Obviously, number 1, because I'm teaching that one, would be the very best. So like generate leads, grow your database, and then maybe the reason being the hardest part about real estate is actually finding leads. Big focus on generating leads, but then making sure that no one then falls through the cracks. But as we're talking about in sparking your career, we're going to run through a lot of this real quick. We'll do little activities here. So we're going to do new way of thinking, talk about the culture, the value, your careers, the success system, and go from there. So Gary Keller and the Millionaire Realist. Not everyone will. Will you? Gary's an interesting guy. And this is so true. Really simple, it's not easy. So we're going to lay out very much how it's just, are you willing to put forth the effort to do it? So 6 personal over here, if you guys ever want to look at them. This is like Gary's model for life. He has perspectives that you should take and kind of loop through over and over and over and over again. You is a lot kind of like incognito. And sometimes I'll be very like, oh, 80-20. So, because this is some of my favorite things. So commit to self-mastery. You need to be the best you. Know what your goals are. You should know your strengths and weaknesses, and then how to work with your strengths and weaknesses, necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals. Who's been watching the Olympics? Have this strength, this weakness. Okay, I am great at balance. At anything upside down. Like the idea of doing a flip, nope, that's are also bad at like on the tramp, they can only do like half flips where all their friends are doing like flips. So this is like a Wilson weakness, I guess, is we do not flip well. I I could never be on a swim team because when I get to the end of the pool, I have to do a flip and you lose me every single time. If it's like the butterfly or the breaststroke where you just touch the wall and then turn around, I'd be fine. But like, have that. I don't have that. So if I were going to be an Olympic athlete and decide tomorrow that I'm going to start training enough to know that I should not be in gymnastics. If I'm in swimming, I can't do the ones where I flip or to get the knowledge and skills and work extra hard on those things that I am not as really easy with things like sports and stuff. It gets a little more difficult in business and life, right? Who likes to just call? No one. It's not fun. How about who's the who's the who's the salesman? Then I guess like trying to convince people. So you can look at some of your strengths that your benefit. There's two ways to think about this. Let's either try to strengthen our weakness strengths, or let's just lean on our strengths and move away from our weaknesses. Ideally, we just focus. However, there are going to be times where you have to do things where it is not your strength, it is your weakness, and you will. Who's a number person out there? Or who's not a number person? How's that? Who's not a number person? Yeah. Run a budget right now. P&L, do the math, project what we're going to make for the year, what we're. Some people are so against that. Now you are business owners now. Congratulations, you own your own business. Part financials and knowing the things. So that is something that like you might have a weakness in that you will have to turn into a strength. Need that in your life. There are a lot of agents that go out of business because they do not save money for certain things that you need to do. Or maybe they don't go out of business, but they're never feeling like they have enough, even though they do a fair. So focus on your strengths, know your weaknesses, and then figure out, are you going to improve your weaknesses and have someone else do that? The 80-20 principle. This one's real simple. 20% 80% of your results. For example, how many people do we have on this wall? 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13. Dang it. About 75-ish. Let's call it 70. We have almost 300 people in our. So this is about 20% of the agents. I would bet if we did the math, they just right like that. Another way to say this is the bottom 80%. There is some decision factor going in here. Like, do you want to work hard enough to be in the top 20%? And there is part like knowing yourself and strengths and weakness. So on the 20% actions that will yield you results. A lot of new agents get in and think, I need a listing packet. I need the best website. The thing that drives me nuts that Dean says all until you've done your 3 case studies. I don't know where that is, but everyone seems to know it. That's the most common thing I hear. I want to get this out of people's minds, but everyone keeps on. Gosh, I thought I do your case studies. They are one of the most helpful things that you can do, and you don't client. So that would be one of the 80% things. Knowing how to represent. Getting a client is 20%. If you are the best offer writer in the world, you are probably not going to make very much. That finding clients, you will probably make more money than anyone else. And Jeanette can just write your offers. That. So focus on the things that will lead you into more business and not the things that make you feel like you know together. You are going to feel crazy and chaotic if you only live in the 20%, and you will make more money that you figure out your 80%. All right, number one, it's called move from the E to P. So E is entrepreneurial. This is the natural you. Hunter was here, we were talking about golf, right? This is the natural how you would do at golf. You're without any coaching, this is what you would naturally do and the results that come from it. Now the P is purposeful. This watched Tiger Woods and studied him and were coached by him and did exactly what he said, and it would feel weird and awkward. Fought through it until it actually worked. You end up breaking through your natural ceiling of it. Estate agents have some sort of ceiling that they hit. And you can kind of see this pattern with teams as well. Some sort of ceiling around 10 to 20 transactions. There is some sort of ceiling, and most people, honest, if you were closing 20 transactions, average commission's 12 grand, would you be okay with that? But it's 240. So you're almost making $500,000 a year. You have your cap and stuff like that, so you're probably in your pocket 200. Is that an okay life to live? That's great. Yep. So some people never, they'll just live here in the like 20-ish transactions. Now teams hit the same kind of thing, and most agents, they want to get past that first little hump, that first ceiling, and the way that they get purposeful is they hire an assistant. It makes them get more purposeful than they are most times. So then they start to break through, and the next ceiling that they hit is like 50-ish transactions. It's 100 transactions. Once you get through that, it seems to be 250 transactions. And then there's another one at 500. Please keep finding these natural ceilings of achievement. And the way to get through it is to focus, break through. It is a very simple formula that is very difficult in practice. So, Steph Curry, I was watching a documentary with my kids the other day about him. When he was like 13 or better shooters on his basketball team, but he had a bad shooting form, and so used to play in the NBA, knew it. So they decided that they were going to fix his shooting form, and he was going to become the best shooter. All summer, he practiced shooting. He said after a couple of months, he was not able to make a basket away because of the way that it was. So he went from being one of the best shooters on his team to not even out because he was getting very purposeful. Well, now Steph Curry is literally like the best. He went through that. He broke through that natural ceiling of achievement to get there. So is not going to feel comfortable. If you are doing something and you're like, ooh, I don't like this, this is uncomfortable, but everyone says I should on this pathway. If you are doing something and you're like, this feels so natural and comfortable, I could do this forever, not the P. Remember that. If it feels wrong and uncomfortable, but everyone says that you should do it, it is get uncomfortable. With that, you need to make being learning. Keywords here, action plan. You can't see it because it says that I'm talking about action plan. That is have a action plan, and you need to make knowledge on this. This morning, I heard this thing from Jay talking about, he's Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, they wrote the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, The One Thing. They write all the books together. He's a favorite people. I want to like hang out and meet him because Gary Keller to me seems like a person that was just designed. Everything that Gary Keller does seems to just win. And I'm like, great. I love to be like that. I don't know how I could be like that. Jay that's just living life that has made these decisions and actions that have made him successful. And I'm like, I feel like that just makes crazy amounts of money. So I don't know. I like Jay a little bit better. He was talking about people and the idea of teenagers. Sorry, teenager. The less you know, need to know anything. This is like the classic teenager. Yes. The more you didn't know anything. There's some that someone came up with this law around it, and it's been proven. But the more that you realize that you don't know, and so so the difference here is I know what that is not a life that you want to live. I know what I know, and there's more to know, kind of an idea, and find out who to interview, who to talk to, so that you can, boom, break through. And that's part of the P. We're going to find it through learning. And the product outside, there is the enlightenment, the inside, like there is inner work that needs to be done as well as exterior. And that is very deep. And they put it in 4 words in a little box. Canny, constant and never-ending improvement. I think that's a dumb way to say it, but that's the whole idea of fixed mindset or growth mindset. Those are the two. So the fixed mindset is change yourself. I am anti-fixed mindset. I am a growth mindset individual. Growth mindset says if you wouldn't be able to do it. This gets me into trouble, like watching the Olympics. I'm like, I could probably start the swim team or something like that. Like the only thing that's holding me back is me and my time. And my Evan, there's no way you are going to now go make the Olympics. I'm like, you don't know that. Like, I could do these awesome things. In fact, BYU had a really bad kicker for their football team. And I was like, you know what? I don't have my master's degree. What if a kicker for the football team and got my master's degree? My wife's like, no, you're an adult with children. You don't go do stuff like this. I can do this. Whatever I want to do, I feel like I can go do it. I just need to decide what is the most effective. That is the big limitation in all of this. So constant and never-ending improvement. Things that are going to limit you. And by that, it's you are going to limit you. So we're going to remove your limiting beliefs. When you unlimit your thinking, you unlimit your success. Things like I can't or I don't. And those are the things that we are limiting. Like, I don't have enough time for training. I literally said that 30 seconds ago. Olympics because I do not have enough time for training. You know what? If my dream was to be in the Olympics, I would find some obscure sport that I could just figure out how to do. Did you guys hear about the cyclist? She worked for a venture capitalist firm. She decided to go, enjoyed it, and just went crazy. She wasn't projected to win a medal. She just won the gold medal. Like, most people are like, I don't have enough time for training. Like a venture capitalist, you're art and everything. You could see you shouldn't go for the Olympics. She just freaking won a gold medal because she's like, I'm just going to go do it. I heard about this morning. So whatever you feel like is limiting you, you can go and swap that to rather than just a limiting belief. So you're not going to limit yourself. You're going to use that as a strength for yourself. And then it all comes down to this, being accountable. And now I'm not talking about like, I'm going to hold you accountable, like in your calls. No, this is when life or reality shows up. Which pathway do you take? Common one is people don't seek reality. So when something goes wrong, they don't ask any questions and tries to analyze what's the situation. When you don't seek reality, you start to fight it. Nope, what does it say? That's not the way it is. That's not how I see it. That's your interpretation. They're fighting how reality is blaming. This is the easy one when it shows up, right? If everyone would do their job, it's not my fault, it's yours. Why didn't you change? Their personal excuses. It's not my job. I was never given a chance. It doesn't work here. All of these things like that. And hope. It's out of my hands. There's nothing that I can do. This showed up, and I literally with my children the other day because they wanted to go play on their Switches, and they said, "Hey," because I lock them up so they can't just randomly play. It's a dad thing. And one of my children, I go to do his password, and I was like, "Oh, hey, it's about to die. You should charge it." And I handed it back. What did he do? He down and started to play. 2 minutes later, it died. And he started right down. I was like, why did it die? It shouldn't have died. He didn't even try to. I was like, did you charge it? Did you do anything? He started to pull back. He's like, well, you didn't tell me. I was like, I literally said this as I handed it back. He's like, well, I didn't hear. All of these excuses. And I'm like, great. Now you don't get to play your Switch. And I pulled this out. Is I built this little charging station. There are chargers just sticking out of the wall everywhere. You set it where you should. And anyway, so we got to talk about this. If you go down this victim mentality, you're going to stay the same. We're going to get better. You might even get worse. If you become accountable, you are going to change because you ask the questions. What's the situation? Then you acknowledge this reality. But then you own it. It's up to me. What do I want? This is my responsibility. I heard this interview with Gary Keller or Gary Vee. I would blame myself for leaving too early or too late. I wouldn't blame the bus driver or any of this settings. Yeah, Mariah.
I just popped up to my head on this just I'm like, that just reminds me about getting like agents to answer their phone. Do you just like if they don't answer, do you just blow their phone so you can answer?
Maybe. Yeah, sometimes it's hard because in this business, it's very cooperative. So you do have to talk to a seen it before. This happened to me just the other day. I don't even know how it happened. An agent tried to call me. Numbers silenced on my phone. He did not leave a voicemail. This was on a Saturday, supposedly. Broker Dean came to me and was like, hey, some agent has been blowing me up trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, I a message. Doesn't sound like that was on me. But so the way that he owned it is he started, who can I get a hold of that could get a hold of Cameron? Kind of an idea. I would have, before what he did, I probably would have, I maybe would have tried again. He knows my email, could have sent me an email. Like there's all these things reached out to Dean. So like sometimes you'll have to go crazy, but it's the why behind it, right? lead would be like, okay, this is overkill. Like you're stalking me on Facebook and sending me things, but like you're just trying to make an offer to me. And I'm like, just leave me a message. I'm great at listening to my voicemails. I'm great at looking at my text besides just calling and hanging up. And so, but then once you own it, you can start to find options and get on with it. And that is where the growth happens. So you can say, what happened? This did not work. And then how can you do it? And then you're changing. And then that will loop you right back into the first one again, that you're going to realize something like, I need a master, which will lead you to focus more on the 20% that's going to move you forward. Find that system and model, achievement, learn about it, remove your limiting beliefs, and then be accountable. And it's a cycle forever on. Boom, 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 boom. If you're not being accountable, might as well not do any of the rest of the stuff. Sean Acre, I always feel like I'm saying that wrong. He's a cool guy. He talked one time, but he said, happiness is not an individual sport. I'm a huge believer in stuff like this. I do not like to do things, build it with friends kind of person. So that's part of the reason that I am here. We're in now. So KW culture, let's talk about this. So we have a few things within our, and it's both in Keller Williams International that they do literally everywhere, and then also within our brokerage. First one that we talk about is the MVVBP. I don't know why everything gets an acronym, but this one, VBP. So that stands for mission, vision, value, beliefs, and perspective. This is how Gary breaks, so suggests that you should do this for you personally. Have a mission, a vision, a value, beliefs, and perspectives. Our mission is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving. So this is what Keller Williams is built to do. And you will notice that a lot of our are this. It might be a little more on the careers worth having, businesses worth owning, because, but then we want to make sure that that gives you lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth living. So about like investing into real estate so you can get this passive income and retire. If you retire, will make $0 off of you. But it's part of the things that we want. If you have a to your children, that is a legacy that's worth leaving. Like, think how it would change people's world. Like, imagine the right now, grandma died and you just got a property, like a $500,000 property that's paid off. As grandma died, you have $500,000. Like, wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that change your life? You're like, oh, cool. Do I live in it? Do I centers that she has? Like, do I take a loan out on it and go buy more real estate? Like, think of the possibilities it opens up. Not leave me $500,000 worth of property, but that's something that you could do. The beliefs, hardest acronym, because it's not a real acronym. They just decided that it would be letters and numbers. So it's the C2Ts, right? Because there's a 4T, 4, yeah. Win-win or no deal. That's actually my favorite one. That's the one that everyone remembers from our culture. Win-win or no deal. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication. Seek first to understand. Creativity. Together, everyone achieves more. Trust. Start with honesty. Equity. Opportunities for all. And success. They just added this E one like a year ago. And so now everyone, if you ever hear this, to tease and they like emphasize that there's an E in there now, it's dumb. But so this is living. So the belief system is how we should be doing things. So if it's not a win-win, the Keller Williams philosophy. So often you'll hear this within or partnerships. Like if we can't make a win, then we don't have a deal. We need to start over. Kind of an idea. The right things. If you could live like this, you would probably be a great person to be around. Vision. Our vision is to be the real estate company of choice for agents, I think is what it is. So we want to be the best. The vision is very like people working folks do for everyone. We do a couple of things here that are a little bit different companies. Number one is Red Day. Every single year in May, usually in May, I believe it is, they have Red Day, it's called. It stands for Renew, Energize, and Donate. So we said do something for the community. In the past, we've like cleaned up a veterans area for them. We've cleaned parks, we've donated food, lunches. Like some kids don't have any food at home, and the only time that they eat is when they're at school. They have this program that's built that we donated food and built lunches and dinners for kids for the summer food while they weren't in school. And so like cool things like that. Nothing to do with real estate. Their business that we try to get from it. It's just we get to do some good. And tied in with that, that's kind of hard to see here. This is our charity for us. If something goes wrong in someone's life, takes care of that. So this is for agents and their immediate family members when things go wrong. Lunch in like natural disasters. Like a few years ago when Houston flooded, this thing called Mega Camp, which I'll talk about in a minute, and they shut down all of Mega Camp, had every single person go to Houston, like houses and stuff. They paid commissions for people of homes that would never close so that they could still get money. Locally, we actually have a KW Westfield Cares. And so if you'd like to, it's really every closing or every month, however you want to do that. And then that we use for our agents to send to KW Cares. But so that actually helps like specifically people here. Like we've had agents that have cancer, things like that. We have helped them all through here. So as things are going, I would suggest donating through the like a $50 per closing kind of a concept. And then every time you have a closing, a little bit goes there. And so it just builds and builds and builds. And it is actually a charity, a 501c3, so it is a tax deduction. There's some good to come from it. We're awesome. KW is awesome. I don't need to go over it. People seem to always be, we're one of the top female-friendly companies. Everyone cheers. But for you too, good job. For years and years, like there's a training magazine, and it was between like us and Jiffy Lube and who would win and the best training company. But that they're like, you know what, you're just Hall of Fame. We can't even have you run anymore because you just keep winning. And the trainings that we have, so obviously we have Ignite and all of these things that we do. We try to do a lot on a local level, but Connect. So if you go to Command, in the top, it will say Command, and then next to it, it will say Connect. If you click there, so today's class, for example, these slides that you were looking at is available on Connect, and you can have the 6 personal perspectives, that is a deeper dive into these 6 things. You can go get the trainer's manual class and learn from it. Or you can see past recordings, things like that. So Connect is awesome. And who went to did the Zoom of the market update just the other day? Now, that kwutah.tv, there's a Zoom recording on what's going on in the market. We do 2 big events for education. Family reunion. This is in February. Is all across the country. It like moves around. Next one is in Vegas. So save your money. I got to stop gambling for the year. I've been gambling twice, and both times I've won like 120 bucks. I was with Hunter. Hunter went way down, then he went up, and then I think he ended kind of even. But so Las Vegas, it's Las Vegas again. Every year they'll announce where it's going to be, but it's like there's like 20,000 people that it can be, like Orlando, LA, Vegas, Atlanta, Dallas, like the big kind of hubs of the Mega Camp. That one's coming up in a couple of weeks. That one is always in Austin. It is down there. How both of these work? Mega Camp or Family Reunion, they call them breakouts. So when you go note speakers that are always awesome, like Sean Acor that we had Tony Robbins come, Mel Robbins, awesome. Phil Jones, who I have a man crush on. They come, and then so there's like 10 different classes to choose from to go to. So it's like new agents, what should you do? Experienced agents, you're on this, or you want to do technology like that, and you just pick which class you want to go to, and you go to that class. Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, and Jason Abrams interview top agents that are doing great. Oh, you crush it at open houses and you've closed 100 transactions from open houses this year. How are you doing it? Everything. So really cool. A lot of the times we will pay additionally as a market center to get some of these. If that happens, you should 100% come, because they're not like saved anywhere for us to watch later. They probably break it out something. Oh, KW Maps, this is the training company that I used to work for, is bold. Probably about every year this comes around somewhere in the region. It is the top. To be in bold, you have to have 100 conversations a week or you get a foul. 3 foul. And so they literally will kick you out of class if you are not doing the activities that they said. And one of them is. And so this moves businesses forward. There's a lot of mindset, a lot of script training. So it is awesome. So if bold is scholarships and things like that sometimes, but try to go to it whenever it's available. We have command. 2 more about. Do you guys use the app? The KW app? I like to have it on my app, on my phone, but I'm more of a computer guy as well. Has anyone used like the consumer-facing home search app? Like the MLS. I enjoy it. So I have it on my phone, and that's how I look at houses normally, unless someone's like, hey, what's MLS? But if I'm like, what is this home listed at? I'll pull up on the KW app, because nationwide. So if I drive down to Vegas for family reunion, I can pull up and see how much, kind of a thing. So anywhere that you are, it's a great thing to share with people. Is that, oh, look at that. people because they can do it. So wherever your friends or sphere are located, you can actually help them a whole bunch. One more acronym. There's too many acronyms at KW. Language of real estate. So these are the numbers that Keller Williams tries to track business is going. You should do something similar in your businesses, but this is way too many. Most of these you can pull. But just to get an idea, and this says year to date, but it's actually year over year. Williams, Utah has closed 1.4% more transactions than we did the year before. So what's cool is the closed volume. So like the price of those homes are up 13.3%. Houses are more expensive. What does that mean? This bottom number, closed GCI, from last year to this year. The average agent or the average closing is making more money than it did a year ago. This is the coolest part about real estate is most people, they have to ask for a raise. In real estate, you just need to exist, right? We talked about having like that ceiling. If your ceiling is this year, it's $240,000. Last year, it was probably like $220,000. Raise by doing the exact same thing that you did last year. Typically, real estate appreciates 4%, and it looks like we're up 13%, or at least what Keller Williams is. The general market is not as up, but so you can kind of see there. This little section, profit share. Do you guys know about profit share? Okay, remember when you signed in, you had to put that someone caught. That person will earn profit share from you. Here's how it works. When you have to pay in towards your cap, like you have to pay Keller Williams any money, so you are not capped, then out of that bucket, we'll pay all the expenses, blah, 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 whatever left is profit, right? Real simple. They take that, half goes to the people that own the brokerage, and the other half goes to profit share. Then it gets sliced up based off of who has brought agents in that have closed deals, like an MLM, because everything's got to be like an MLM. So, for example, if I brought Tuck in, yep, Cameron is the one that brought me in, and then he closes a deal, and money falls in. The month, I will get a small portion of that profit that he brought in. Now then, and Jared, and then Jared closes the deal. Well, I will get a check from Jared because of his closing, 7 levels deep. So if we could kind of like, so here's how it works. If you know people in real estate and you get them to come to Keller time, if they close deals, if you help others get into real estate and as well, this can be awesome money, and it can also be like kind of a thing. I typically make between 25 and in a month because of this. I do absolutely nothing. It's because I brought financial risk, no legal risk, no down payment, no phone calls. I do nothing, I get money. It is the most of my entire life. Some people will go out and try to recruit and bring people in. Susie, Shoni, I'll for something like this. If you were in Keller Williams for 3 years, then it vests is what it calls. real estate, you still get this as long as you have people in your pipeline. Some agents literally make a year because of how many people they have brought in. Johnny Christensen, regional director, he bought a rental property with people that he brought in. So every proper bank account, it got big enough 3 years ago that he bought a condo in Vineyard. It can be awesome. It also can be nothing. You could be like me and be like, oh, hey, I got $25, let's go to lunch, kind of a thing. If this is interesting to you, there is a committee that you can join that's all about trying to get more people in and what you can do and things like that. But it's as simple as send them over to like Shoni or Susie and say, hey, and then that is enough to be named as their sponsor. And then there's no downside. If I call them, great. If I never call them, great. What have you realized? What have you thought? What are you like, oh my goodness? And then we'll start switching gears into more. I need at least one abstain that you learned or realized. Profit share is amazing. Yeah, it's like super complex. So the person in your first line, like the person that you make you the most amount of money. And then the second is like the fourth most money. Like it's super way down. But yeah, so if you can go 7 levels deep, you get a bunch of money. Yeah, I always forget the numbers. All I know is bring people in. The idea here is they say time will build it deep. So like if I recruited all of you, maybe one of you will go recruit. You know, someone recruited Shoni that now is going crazy and recruiting everyone. Someone recruited other people. So you just never know who you're gonna recruit in. So it's cool. To be honest, I don't focus an opportunity when someone's like, yeah, I'm in real estate. I'm like, well, you should be at Keller Williams. And that's like the whole conversation.
Said something like, can't exclusively just agents. I can't remember exactly what it said, but
Yes, you have to be a real estate agent at Keller Williams. Your job is not recruiter. There are some agents that have there was this one agent that came in and actually talked to us about profit share. And for 3 years, that's all he saw profit share as a bigger opportunity. He admitted to us that he made $70,000 a year from profit. It's probably way more now, but I'm like, that's a good income, but that's not a great income because he put a lot, 60 hours a week prospecting, marketing. Yeah, if he would have done that same thing, could have he closed? He was a salesman too, so. Yep. Trains a whole lot, which is a whole nother thing. You can be a Keller Williams approved trainer and get paid to travel around the country. Interesting things. All right. Resources. We're going to go real fast. Keller Williams International, owned by a holding company called KWX. Look at all these things you learned. So that has Keller Williams. I don't know what Keller Mortgage. They actually just sold that, to be honest. Keller Managed, Keller Covered, and Keller Offers. The whole idea is that selling, you have this whole life cycle that everyone is in, and we wanted to be the solution for every the dream, but that was a dream when the market was great, and then the market kind of took a little step backwards, and we're like, some of these are awesome. For example, this is insurance that goes out and tries to find you the best deal on insurance. So You'll learn more of these as you go. They have communities. I don't know why they listed these 8 because there's probably in our office, for example, he is launching a community at MegaCamp. It's called KWNIL. He's doing. So if any of these call out to you, or you have some sort of connection in here, like KW Military, for example, work with military families, and if you have some sort of a network already, you can tap into that. Every one of these sell some houses first, but then they're kind of cool. Okay, so imagine this. Today is August 5th, 2024. It is August 5th, 2025. The robots have taken over. AI. Imagine this. Imagine that your business is now thriving and it's everything that you've been has been awesome. Your customers rave about the experiences and value you provide. Your friends are so proud of you. Your referrals. You're helping others. You're building the foundation and momentum for your entire career. Your top rookie of the year. All 5 of you are rookies of the year. You're about ready to hire an assistant. Things are go money that you could go hire another person. You're on the path. What else? Great. This last year. Remember, we're in 2025 already. Chuck, what do you have? You caused interest rates to go down single-handedly.
Your question after
Okay. Okay. What else went awesome for you in your business? I love that. Just referrals. Business is just coming to you. I like that. What else?
Always read from it, but like truly.
So there's this idea, and this is not where this wanted to take it, but this is where I want to take it. So I'm in charge today. Be, do, have. Who do you need to be to do the things that you want to do to have what you want to have? Backwards. Have, do, be. So you need to live life. Like, if you were going to be a luxury agent, what does that mean? The launch where I talk about this, where if you wanted to go running every day, why would you not? Because runners go running every day. People that want to run every day sometimes don't go running. If you want to be a bodybuilder, you're going to the gym every day. If you're going to be a luxury agent, what does that mean and what do you do? Be first. Then you're going to do all of those things. Then you have whatever you want to have. Have. And write these things down. What, and they maybe 364,000, but if that's your number, that sounds like a great number and very random. I have no idea where this is. Oh, there you go. $1,000 a day. Let's pretend that this year goes awesome. What would you do? Like, you make $1,000 a day on average. What do you go do? Maybe shout. You would buy a rental property then. Okay.
Well, it's actually kind of part of why I got into real estate. My and I have a love for that, and I like the stability of homes, but I also really like the idea of investing. To have houses and, you know, get people to live in those houses and design them all cute and something, and you get to help people out too.
Love it. Okay, your empire, your rental empire. What else? Ooh, go to Japan. Why Japan?
And it's just the, but that's just like my first.
Yeah, if you're gonna go somewhere, might as well go Japan. Yeah, I would love to go. Tokyo seems like next level. So weird. I want to see all the tech and how they're using it. It seems so crazy walking around that city. Yeah. What else? Okay, let's go one level past this. Let's imagine that everything keeps going great. You have all of these things. Huck, you're going on an epic vacation a year, right? You're buying a rental property at least once a year. You buy a rental. It just keeps flowing in. What's the good that you would go do with that? Like they give the habitat. Yeah, I don't, that one's no. Their children, they're gonna get through their student loans debt free, or through their college debt free. So pay the kids' school, pay off the mortgage for your mom and dad, $18,000. Gosh, if they should pay it off. Yeah. You know, you've been doing this for 28 years now, parents. You pay that. Yeah. What would you guys do? What good in the world would you want to do? Buy your mom a new car. I love that.
Local society, good food.
Good food, okay.
And guess what? Question. Who put the money into? Or what would you spend it on? I'd spend it on my other business, which would grow.
I love that.
Probably.
Yeah. That's a good one. So they're calling it a big life right here, where you get to do all of these things. There's one step for why, right? Why do you even exist? Why are you here? Real estate is really great at providing income. When you think about it, the dollars. Right now, the average agent closes 3 or 4 transactions, which is not a at $12,000. That's $48,000 a year. And it seems, but if you go ask an agent that's been around for 10 years, 4 transactions is like very part. Some of these agents on this wall would actually accidentally close 4 transactions. If not a real estate, they would probably find 4 transactions in their sleep. It all comes. So real estate is income, but it's what do you do with that income? And the reason I wanted to is there's going to be days where you're like, why am I doing this? Like, to people I know, or to strangers, or go door knock, or answer dumb emails, or all of these But if you can tie it to a higher purpose, it gets easier. Make these phone calls, I get to go to Japan. So in bold, they actually have the script that they do. With my friends at work, if I win, I'm going to blank. And this is where you're going to go to Japan if I win. To win, I'm going to need to close 12 transactions. You know anyone looking to buy or sell a home because I want to win and go to Japan? Like that you use. Awesome, easy script to make, to call people. Because then people that you haven't talked to in a while, they're like, oh yeah, they just want to win. Catch up with them or whatever later on. So what's your big why? You had Elon Musk kind of money. Are you going to try to fly to Mars? What do you do? And then tie that backwards. Is that income to go help that? Or is it like, you know, like if your big why is to just travel constantly, it can be like, well, you probably need a job or money coming in that would fund all of that, which could be great because you could have a property manager do that and blah, blah, blah. And so then, okay, how do you go get more rentals? We just need to up the income. Do this, we need to do that. And it's this very residential real estate pathway that you're already doing leads to. So I want you to ponder on this for a minute. What is your in real estate and what would you ultimately like to achieve? Let's see, what does Gary Keller say? To achieve success for doing it, your big why. If your big why is to make 100, almost guarantee when you need some motivation or inspiration, you are not going to do it. For example, 14 years, when I think I want a six-pack, and my wife says, I love you. My motivation and inspiration to do sit-ups are like 2 out of 100. I don't feel bad when I'm at the pool with no shirt. I don't feel great. So if your big why is not big enough to motivate you and inspire you. Now, also, this big why does not have to be your forever why, because you might latch onto something and realize that's exactly what I want to do, and I got it right. The realize that you're going to start down a pathway and be like, you know what? I like this, but this is not my big why. Like maybe you love traveling, and then you go to all these places and you're like, I've been to most of my bucket list items. Maybe my new why is to stay at home. Something like that. Yeah, like I just need more time with family. Or maybe now it's like, I need to take others. So what is your big why? And then sit with it. My big why, I've written this out, part of my MVVBP that I wrote for myself. My mission is to invest my time, energy, and efforts into others and their business to help them profit. That is what I want to do. So I try to live that as much as I can because I enjoy, I love to be an angel investor, right? They just literally give money to companies to go for and help them go grow. Like, that's so awesome. I want to do that. Well, you know what you need to do that? A lot of freaking money. Risky. So I'm like, I don't have the money to just throw away at these random companies. What do I do? Well, businesses. And so that's what I'm doing in my path towards my big why and why I enjoy work. And another question, I'm like, I'm good with it. I love these questions because I see it as building your business, not helping your building, which I love to do. Okay, work on that. That's your items. I'm gonna have some more for you here later. But let's talk about your commission real quick. So if you take a listing and you go say sellers, I'm gonna charge you 3% to the, and give it to the buyers, which may not be how it sounds here in like 2 weeks. Agent piece might not be there. So when you have, if you were working, I'll collect 6% and then I'm gonna give 3% to that buyer's agent. Then you're gonna split it with the other agent. So you're already, what it really is the market center, business expenses, taxes, and then your take home. So the market center, there's 4 transactions. It's really easy because it's 50-50. It is a true 50-50. Most teams in the office have a split that it's a 50-50 split, and then you pay the market center after that. So you save more money. So the market center split, they're going to tell us, nope. It is 70-30. Have you guys explained this? Have you heard this? I should have brought it up. When you close a transaction and all of the money comes to the things after the team, how it 100%. If you are a solo agent, 30% goes to our market center, 6% goes, and they call it a 70-30 split. They don't talk about the 6. It's like a secret. So 36% of your commission, the market center and Keller Williams. When you are capped is when you have paid in. That's actually in 2 parts. Am I lying to you? 15,000 and 3,000. No. Yeah. Let's get this whiteboard. Let's math. Because when you have a plan for it, right? You're a business owner. You need to know what expenses are coming in. At the same time, right. So let's say you do a 5. Let's say you sell a $500,000 house at 3%. No, you're a real estate agent now. 3% math is what you do.
Job, you're right.
3% math. Real estate agents can do that. So we have a $15,000. Right now, as it sits with you guys all being on the new agent team, we take that and we split it right in half. You get 7,500. I go to the market center and say, hey, market center, here's part for their cap. Here's part for international. I pay Jeanette, pay the photos, pay all the expenses, blah, blah, blah. So you end up with $7,500 in your pocket and you don't have to think that. This $7,500, if you are a solo agent, now it is different when you're on a team. So 70-30%, that thinking the 6. So the brokerage here is going to take 30% of 15,000, 5-ish. So we're going to call it 5,000. So that leaves you with 10,000-ish. The Keller Williams International that they will take, and I should be able to do this because it's twice of 3. we have math stopped working. 2,500. 2,500. That gets taken out here. So after that, that is your take-home pay. Going to make is when I close a deal, I times that by 64%. Then the 30% and the 6% the Keller Williams is going to take. These are different. However, they almost always cap at the same transaction. Potentially, they don't have. Some people will be like, oh yeah, they're just together. They're not together, but they are together. Because the chances that you can, it might happen. So I just times it by 64%, and that's how much money I'm keeping. Until you pay in 18,000, you keep all of your money for the rest of the time. The only other thing that comes out is we have E&O insurance. That's if you happen to get sued, and it is going to cost more than $5,000, the say that it is worth it to take a claim on their insurance. The more claims we take, the more our insurance are like out of pocket that we have to pay is $5,000. So if it's less than that, we'll never take it. But if you mess up, that's more than $5,000, then that E&O is there to cover it. So that's the only thing for that. Yep. Now, once you get capped, once you pay in that 18, you end up, so what is that, 3-4 transactions? You cap, you keep 100%. Team, they give you what's called a half cap. So you still have your 6% to Keller Williams International, but then we do, and you don't have to pay 18,000, you end up paying 10,000. Solo, your max is 18,000. Team, your max is. So how it works, I feel like I'm getting lost in the numbers. So your KW Westfield cap is $15,000 if you're all by yourself. If you're on that, 7,500. Your Keller Williams International, KWRI, like 3,000 no matter what. So the most that you will pay in a year is itself or on a team is 10,500. Wait, did this all make sense? I'm now erasing it. Do a team example. So, same house. What it will have, the split with the team, so you get 7,500 for the team. Then they're going to pay all of their expenses, everything. From here, you'd have your split. So you have your 15% and your 6%, and then you keep the, what is that, 79%?
It's capped at $10,000.
Yep, until you pay in 10,500. And then you keep the rest. Sort of, because you're paying 15% and 6%, so the 7,500. Yeah. Fine. Yeah, you still walk away 6 grand.
You don't get paid here as much as you would have. with the, But you don't have to count on
Not even close. Yeah. But then you cap a little bit slower. Solar agent, you pay a whole bunch of money on brokerage to pay it off. So usually you have to close twice as many transactions on a team to cap because you're at a time, because you're only closing half a transaction. So, from there, it's expenses. Here's how taxes work. Once you get, ooh, can we go nerdy for a minute? You, welcome to my financial real estate agent 101. If you are a business now, you are a proprietor. That means that your social security number is basically this. There are a lot of disadvantages to this in terms of tax speaking. More than $35,000 in 1 year, you should actually, you should do what's called an S corp. An S corp means small corporation. The reason that you do this is as a sole proprietor, let's say you make that you have business expenses, but you're not going to get of the expenses up at this top line. You're going to pay taxes on that. You're going to take out expenses. Well, you take out expenses, meaning like UCAR dues every single year, you're going to end up paying that. But as a sole proprietor, they're looking paid. You don't really get all the business write-offs as you can. So when you become an S corp, than $35,000, by the way. So if you're closing 2, 3, 4 transactions, it probably makes sense. So then what would happen? Then you pay all your expenses. So let's pay $1,000 in UCAR dues. You're going to MLS. We're going to do some marketing. It's called. You can write off either like gas maintenance. Usually as a real estate agent, mileage makes more sense. And so you get all of these deductions at $2,000. That is what you're taxed on. Yep. Yep. So when you can, you should become an S $1,000 a year. If you're making $35,000 a year, start a little company, an S an LLC, and then you do an S election. Yep. So you can call it whatever you want. I was trying to think of to write off the top of my head, but nothing came.
But also that's
See, you have to renew it every year. It's like $25 or $45 or something. I have to renew mine next month. You have to file taxes for it. So you'll file personal taxes and then business taxes as well. Business taxes are due, and then personal are April 15th. And then if you have an accountant, they're going to charge you to do both of them. So it gets more. If you're like, let's say you pay 30% of your income towards tax. I kind of made up that number, but it's you could be paying like 3 grand on that 10 grand transaction, or, oh no. And of 2,000. $600. See, he's a real estate agent. He can do 3% math. 600. So we just saved like $2,400 by having that. Only $1,000 for taxes thing, and I have to do all of the paperwork and prep. This probably makes more sense. You do some deductions and stuff as a sole proprietor, it's just not the same, so. Talk to a tax professional. It,
transactions.
40%.
And usually that covers it, but. Whatever you spend on taxes.
What a tax refund is. Yes. When you are a W-2 paid, your employer takes part of your payment and pays that to the tax man. And, and you file your taxes and they say, you didn't pay enough, so you owe us money, or you paid too much. So we're gonna do that same thing. We're gonna set aside a chunk of money, and then at the end of you either don't have enough, so you have to come up with that money, or you have too much and you have a refund. Do the same thing. I had $1,000 refund this year on my taxes. So I started 1,000 for this year. So then I'm saving a little bit less every month this year. 30% is a number I've commonly heard. I've also seen people do 40%. Once you do it for a few years, you're going to, and you can talk to them and say, how much money should I be saving? And what are you going to make this year? Which your answer is, I don't know. I have like 3 months ago, and I was like, hey, I want to get tax planning like ready and going, like help me out. And he's like, great, how much? Let me get back to you on that. He's like, okay, when you know that money, let's talk about everything else, because it's kind of made up. Transactions this year, that's very different than if I close 2 or 3 transactions, and I'll need to plan differently tax-wise. So chunk of money, and how I would do this is I would have a separate bank account tax. I have a checking account that I call operating account. Once a month, I send a chunk of money over to this tax account. And then I also my family account, and so I'll pay myself once a month.
I got a question. Say you get to the point where you make over 35K, you're doing really well. Someone can move back here. Can you continue to file as an S corp because you already have your LLC?
You would probably do an S corp, which is just
Okay.
yeah, because
I didn't know if like the government, all right, now you have that.
yeah. S corp. So I have a personal credit card and I have a business credit card, and it's all my same money. I could decide that my S corp is giving all of its shareholders a $10,000 bonus from my S corp. I would have to have $10,000 in that account to do that, but I could do it. Way, but it feels so nice to be like, this is a business expense, and swipe the card. This one, and then right. I don't know how my accountant feels about some of this. Netflix is a business expense for me. Kylie comes into my office and she has her children. I could turn on Netflix on my computer and let them watch while her Um, and so I don't think the IRS would like it if they knew about it. Expense to me. Apple Music, I pay for Apple Music because before classes like this, and so open house, throw some music on. So there you can get creative. And I went out to eat that it wasn't a business expense because I talked about real estate with either a client or right, someone in my business, which is me and my wife. And she's on the board of directors. To buy dinner for the board of directors, that would be weird. Like Google having a meeting with the board of directors to bring their own sandwiches in. Like, no, they're going to cater that. I'm catering meals to our meetings that real estate at some point. If I go out with friends, those are my clients or potential clients. That is marketing that for sure. You know, people come over to my house for like a board games kind of this. You better believe that's an SOI event, sphere of influence event that I'm having right there. So you can get creative with that and here. But then what's left over is just really this little sliver. When your eyes get big on the dollar commission, you need to trick yourself that you're not making any money. Because what that does a little bit more, and it forces you to go out and do difficult things. If you think like $1,000, pull out a number to make easy math, and you got a $12,000 commission and all of it went to you. You technically months and you would make the same amount of money. Like that is ridiculous. But if you thought, oh no, I'm closing rather than 12, all of a sudden you're like behind. You're like, I made $1,000 less. You got to go out and find a whole, and then all of a sudden you'll wake up and be like, oh, I have all this money. Clay Winder, he literally did this. When he hired me to the team, he $30,000 a year plus a $100 closing bonus on every closing. We ended up closing like that's what I made that year. He closed 100 transactions. Average commission was closer to like $6,000 because there's a lot of like, I mean, it was 11 years ago and there were a lot of condos. For $6,000 times 100 $6,000 times 100 transactions is $600,000. Do you know what Clay said to me in February? Him said, I think you made more money than me last year. I said, no, money than me, because we closed 100 transactions, even at $6,000 a transaction. That's 640. And he's like, no, but like I had to do this and this and this. So him and Johnny, his business, right out of the bat, he's like, we have all of that. We have all the business expenses we have to do. It's like I saved for taxes. We saved for, did that. So his average, he got like 5 to 10% of a closing when it closed, is what he. Yep. But do you know what? I think he bought 3 rental properties that year. Had his taxes fully funded, so he didn't have to do that. He put in investments account, like he did it all. But so he felt poor. So whatever you need to do. So you together, because I want to talk about something else, but whatever you want to make, $50 and royalty cap. It's not real fun when you're on this 50-50 split because it doesn't matter. I think after that. So if you're going to join a team, then what would that be? Or it would be not 18,000. What would, and not 30. Other offices are 30. That's Then what do you spend on your business? Write it all out. The whole year, what are you going to spend? And so then what do you need to together? And then your average commission. If you're solo, do 12 grand. If you're on a team, we'll figure out how many transactions you need to close to do all of that. So kind of a fun math nerd. So I enjoy numbers and things like this. So do that. Oh, quick ahas. Okay. Do you want the numbers? What are some ahas? And we got one last thing.
In the way of like thinking of growth, so you always find start.
I have an account. I know that it's there, but I have money sent to it every single month. And I don't look, it's, I did this strategically. So I have American Express credit cards. I started an American savings account. So every time that I get into it, I have to look at all of my credit cards. So I instances of credit cards before I get to my savings account to see it there. So not only do I feel like I feel poor if I'm like, oh, I have this, and I go to log in, the first thing I see is how much I owe on my Amex. And then I feel like uber poor every time I do it. But then I have this money set aside. Not in this office, but at my house. If you're ever at my house and you find money, it's mine. I was like, no, you didn't. That's mine. Oh no, what'd I click on? Okay. So, Ignite. This is our very first class. You have 19 more. In this other room, I'll go show you after, I have this nice little printout. And then mark off every time there's a class. So somewhere, what number it is. And there is a number correlated to your name, and you can check. You go to all 20 classes, you officially will graduate Ignite. If you do this next, classes are requirement number 1. We literally are buying cap and gowns. We're gonna have ceremony. Yeah, gonna be sponsored. I already talked to some people, so it might be lunch, it might be food, it might be leads. I don't know. I don't know that. So if you have ideas, let me know. But so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, come to all the classes. If you're like, all of these are recorded, you can go back and listen to them. If you're like, that class sucks, all of theirs are recorded, go find the before them was better. If you get to a point where you're like, feel free to come back. There is an open house class that you can come to. You could come. It's going to be taught every. You can always come to those. So pay attention to what's going on because you can decide. The other way I decide is some of these, and I just want to get to know them better. And so I will try to go to their classes more often. If you want to go to classes 2 or 3, you are doing what is requirement number 2. It's called the success system. This is the thing that you do. So you should have 10 conversations, add 10 contacts, and then social media engagement is 10, 5, 1. Means 10 likes, 5 comments. If you do this every single day throughout Ignite, are going to crush it. So we're actually going to half all of this, to be honest, because we're doing it in 2 months. So by the end of it, you should have 200 conversations, 200 contacts, And you can still keep with this 10-5-1 because that's pretty easy. Like 10 things, like you might be doing this. Families, whatever. Handwritten notes. Yes, questions. If you do not have a social media profile because you are against it, I'm okay if you skip. If you do have a social media account already, or if you're like, I am going to get a social media account because of real estate. I have not a photo on social media for probably 3 months. Engage. I don't want Facebook knowing what I'm doing, or Meta, I guess they're called now. I don't want them to know. See, I look at pictures and then move on to the next one. That's all I ever do. I add people's sort of comment and like on things. I would get more engagement on me. I don't post anything, but I would. And people would be like, oh, hey, look, he likes my things. I wonder what he's up to. Yeah. Questions, they call this the 10-4. I don't know why, because there's 5. Okay. By the way, if they're on the do not call list, don't call. A friendly manner is how you should call. Let's talk about questions. The whole idea here is you need to be such a way that when people think of real estate, they think of you. Then you will, period. Because if one of their friends are like, hey, I'm looking for a real estate agent, and they think of you, they'll be like, you should call my friend. Maybe we could buy or sell. And if they think of you, boom, you'll get business. It is a long play, and the best is building relationships. To do that, you do need to talk to people. Yep. This is 10 conversations. I am being generous. Conversation, right? Back and forth, be considered a conversation. I would highly suggest that this conversation are face to face. So that builds a relationship better than if you were going to catch up with a friend that you hadn't seen in 5 years. You probably wouldn't just text. You'd go to lunch, you'd talk on the phone, you'd FaceTime. Those kind of things will build relationships better. So, and just know that this is how it's going to come. So these are some examples of things. We're in a store. Let's say you're going to go buy a TV. Where do you go to buy a TV? Best Buy? Sure. Which of these works the best for you as you're walking in the TV area? Did you ever find a, what do you say when someone says that? Yep, just browsing. If they say, go ahead, look, help you with anything, what are you going to say? Thanks. I see you're admiring, looking to get one for the big game this weekend. I'd say there's no game this weekend. You're stupid. That. So which is best? Is there a best way to in family?
Always just doing whatnot. If it comes to run about asking about what my job is,
Yep.
giving me an opportunity to talk. I enjoy real estate, so therefore they can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Find everything you were looking for. That sounds like the sales associate that doesn't really care. Like, hey, I'm checking my box. Like, they'll know that I'm being helpful, right? This is even a little bit better. Like, hey, I'm here. Like, I think of tired and goes and works at Staples. I'll literally be standing right here. Like that's the Dwight Schrute. What is this going to cause to do? You're going to have a real conversation, right? If there's not a game this weekend, someone will be like, wait, there's not a game. Like, yeah, I guess sports aren't a thing right now. A game, what's your team? Like you can, like, this just opens up something. If they're like, oh, Utah, it's like, oh, okay, sorry. But BYU, it's like, yeah, let me give you a deal, right? That's how everyone's on my same page. Good. So these conversations, we talk a lot about the sphere. The definition people you have met in one way, shape, or form. They're going to leave it very broad. I would call this the database, or called METs. You have met them. So the thing about people is they move. Who has lived longest in their house? Jared, how long have you been in yours? A year. Your place? A year. So I've been in my house 8 years. We just hit the other day. So who's going to move first? Oh, see? Look at that. Austin's moving first. He's lived in his house for 1 year. He's moving. I've lived in it for 8. I have 0 plans of moving. So how do you know when someone's going to move? You don't. There's no idea. So there is some sort of point where just 7 to 10 years, but it's not real like that. Most agents try to do some sort of a touch to the move point. This becomes very easy. The best agents do a touch point every single exist. The more often that you can touch someone, touch their heart, they just moved, they can still be your friend, right? Have you guys seen already on Instagram or Facebook someone saying, I did this yet? Okay, it's going to happen. Happens all the time. When that happens, you can still out to them. You don't have to wait until they're on their way towards the next move. Okay. As you're having the mentioned one of these, Ford is the best method to build the relationships. Where are you working nowadays? You guys do anything fun this summer? Did you dream about me last night? I struggle with coming up with the dream part naturally. Yes, this is what I wish. We're going to change it to dreams is now future. So we're going desire. Ooh, that's way better. Yeah. Yeah. What are you dreaming about? Me? So as you were calling people, have this. Do you guys want to practice it? I don't want to practice it. We're not going to practice it. It might get awkward when you're making a call if you haven't talked to someone in 5 years. I want you to figure out a reason. Now, this is not a reason for them. It's a reason for you. What is your excuse? This could be as simple as you. I don't know why. Just want to call, see what's up. Yeah.
I like to see phones still there.
Yep. I was scrolling my list and I saw this guy in 5 years. Yep. Phil Jones says that you should say something that they wouldn't debate against. So something like that is, we haven't talked that can be an opening. Like, hey, Austin, we haven't talked in 5 years. Isn't that crazy? What you got kids? Where you working? What'd you do for fun? Did you have any crazy dreams? That's the future. Use this. You can have artificial because of real estate. Hey, I was in your neighborhood. Do you still live here? House thought of you. My favorite is when I drive down I-15, I'll call people and be like, are you next to American Fork? They're like, oh no. I'm like, oh, I swear I just saw you. And then we can have a whole conversation. You need a reason for you to call. Most people aren't like, why are you calling? They get talking, they'll have a great time. But if you have a reason for you on what, and then do the forward. At what point do you bring up real estate? Love that answer. When they bring it up. Do you have to talk about real estate? Nope. Are you going to talk about real estate? 9 times out of 10, I bet you will. Because just like Tux said, now, what are they going to ask you? What about you? Oh, I'm actually in real estate. Surprised you haven't heard. Selling houses like crazy. And then from there, you could even jump right into a dream. If you're comfortable, if you're ready for that level of relationship with them, and say something like, have you been, do you own your house? You should stop renting. What are you doing nowadays? Did you know that interest rates have gone down like 0.5% since last week? Crazy. That's real. Use Ford. So give me some ahas for the whole lesson. The whole time here.
Feel uncomfortable, probably on the right path.
Yeah. You guys are so lucky because this is the first time I've taught Ignite that I haven't had during the class. Every other class that I teach, I make people make phone calls through call everyone. That's where I'm going to add it for the next time. Okay. Okay, good. Good. Yep. I like that. It was a year ago. Excuses. What'd you have, Tuck?
I figured I'd pay some.
Yep. Oh yeah, we could nerd out. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, as soon as you get making money, that's one of the how to keep more of it. Because that's the best way you can have money, right? Money saved. A penny saved is a penny earned. Yeah. Yep. All right. Anything else? Art. So today, how many phone calls are you all going to make? 200 by the end of Ignite. So you could be the overachiever. Most people, this is how most, do. There's 20 classes, there's 20 business days in a month. So they do it every single day. So that's why the 10, you will get through everyone faster and probably find business faster. If you 5, you'll be slow. Like we're slow doing it every 2 months. 2 hours every single month. I don't know how they do it. Okay. Every single day. This is conversations, this is not attempts. The other thing that they didn't mention on here is they used to hold you accountable to seeing 10 houses. This counted the MLS, like actually looking at houses instead of going to see houses as often as possible. So if you can, go out and see houses. One of my neighbors just listed. What did they list for? You can look it up and be like, I want to go see this with you. Let's just go spy. They don't have to be a buyer or a seller or anything. Like you can go see houses anytime you want. You can go just with you. See a house. Yeah. Little open house, a little parade of homes. You know, get like 5 buddies. Homes that all of you could qualify for if you made this much money. So, okay. In this room like this, or in that small training room, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then let's go write your names on the thing and you guys can give me feedback if you like it or not. Wait, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Probably gonna do Embrace Your Job with Adrian on Wednesday, unless she has COVID still. 'Cause okay, it's not gonna be Embrace Your Job then. It will be something else, but there will be a class. Good. So come on Wednesday. And thanks, y'all.